Hey everybody, it's Omniscience, and this is try number 3 for the texturing and lighting of this skull or extermination model that we've been doing. So let's do this. This is not, at least for the lighting. I'll show you guys how I textured it, but for the lighting, this is not really going to be so much a tutorial as a demonstration because this is how much lighting I have to get this the way I wanted it. And you know, if you take one thing away from this, it's that the biggest thing you can do for your project is experiment. And you know, that's how I made this, was just experimentation. So I'm going to show you guys what worked for me. But you know, the other couple times I tried to do this, I was getting to like 20 minutes, and I was not getting anywhere near the result I have right now. You know, even knowing what I have to do, it just was not going well for me. So I'm just going to show you guys what each of these lights over here does and why I have it, and hopefully I can guide you into experimenting with the lighting and getting it right for yourself. So hopefully my voice doesn't sound too weird. I'm getting sick and I gotta beat the fuck out of this before the weekend because I'll be very angry if I'm sick this weekend. But that's my personal life. You guys don't need to know about that. So let's get started. So yeah, let's start with the texturing. So first thing that I did, I'm using V-Ray, by the way, so everything that's on my screen will probably look different than yours unless you're using V-Ray. So let's turn off the lighting for a minute here, and yeah, I'll show you guys this texture. So you make a new texture, right? And it's a really simple texture. I just grabbed this metal, this extermination metal, and then I went choose screen color, and I had this up so I could actually, here, I'll show you guys. Maybe I won't. Maybe God will hate me. But yeah, I mean, you choose it from, I brought it up in the picture viewer on Cinema 4D, that's what I did, but just grab one of the colors from here. You know, doesn't have to be perfect, but, and that's just your diffuse layer. And then for the specular, I have the transparency set at 80%, which means that it's only 20% of the actual specular is there. So if you guys are doing the reflection in the Cinema 4D material, it would just be turn the reflection down to like 20% or so. And then I actually have some anisotropy. Where is it? Here we go. I have 0.47% anisotropy. I think that's how you say it. I don't really know. But I think to get this in Cinema 4D's render, you have to use the Denel shader, and that might be a good shader to use. So you just go new or file, shader, Denel, and Denel has anisotropy, I think. Maybe it's, yeah, here we go. See, anisotropy. You can give it some anisotropy and replicate what I have. So, and that's the material. Oh, and then I have a bump. I just have this this texture that's actually from Dawn and Digital Universe and IGM's texture pack that I used. So thank you both. And but use any scratch metal texture you can use. This one's nice because the scratches are really defined. And so I have that set on the skull, and then I have it set to a spherical mixed textures. So the next thing I did is I created this material, and I just set the diffuse to this sort of desaturated middle purple, or purple red, sorry. And then I went to the material weight, and I actually grabbed another texture, a grungy type texture, which was also from Don in his Mega GFX pack. So thanks again, Don. And then I just played with the black point and the white point. This is in the material weight channel, which is the alpha channel for those of you using Cinema 4D. And I got this sort of effect because the whites are where, or basically Cinema 4D will take the blacks of this image and use it to define the transparency for this material. And so where it's black, it's transparent. Where it's white, it's not. I think that or vice versa. I don't remember, but whatever. And then I applied that spherical. UVW mapping might also work depending, because if you're using Cinema 4Ds, UVW mapping or some other. I mean, you can experiment with these projection modes, but spherical worked best with V-Ray. V-Ray is kind of finicky. And if you are using V-Ray, you need to make sure you click Mix Textures. I don't know if you have to do that with Cinema 4D, you might. But anyways, so this is the result I got with those materials mixed on top of each other. Waiting. That's a bad thing about V-Rays, it takes forever. It's kind of frustrating, but you get a really nice result, so it's worth it. If you don't already have V-Ray, I would recommend getting it because it's really going to take your projects to the next level in terms of realism, so it's a pretty great program. And it's not always this long either. Like, I just have it set on really high settings. So there, you can see the scratches, and then this grungy effect is created by this material. So let's turn off the skull. And I guess this disc I have right here is just behind the skull to give the eyes the black, and I just have that black material. And then I actually have a V-Ray compositing tag, and I've turned the receive GI down so that it just creates that black look in the eyes. Here, let me show you. I can turn the GI down so it doesn't take so long. Medium. Yeah. Hopefully this will be faster. It should be. But basically, because this disc doesn't accept any lighting, it's giving that black effect on the eyes. So that's pretty nice. And I have the same materials for the cross and for the back plate. So let's look at them. Let's look at the cross. And the cross, it's the same. So I just have a basic, I don't have anything in material weight, I don't know why that's checked. I just have a basic gray going on, some specular, 50% transparency, so there's a lot more specular on this one. Anisotropy as well. And then I have a bump with another texture from Don's pack, giving it some scratchiness. And I applied that with a UVW mapping projection, and again, pretty much the reason I did this was just because it works. No other reason. I mean, just experiment with the mapping. And finally, I basically made this material that I had used on the skull, this red one, again, and I just changed it to have a darker color. And I applied it to the skull and the back plate with a cubic projection, and I mixed the textures and I made it seamless on both of them. And basically, that is giving us these grunges that you see right here. So that's the textures, and I'm doing good. I'm only at 8.5 minutes. I'll minimize this. So that gives it the grunginess. So that's just one part. Probably the most important thing of this is the lighting. So I'm going to go through and show you guys what I did for lighting. Alright, so the first thing I did was to create, this is a spotlight right here. Oh, I need to turn the skull back on, hold on. There. No. There. So, yeah, that's why are you not showing up, because you hate me, of course. Oh, that's why you're not showing up. Okay, sorry about that. So the first thing I did was I went and I looked at this metal, and I saw, oh, there's this highlight at the top. So I brought out a spotlight, and I just positioned it and played with everything in it really to get, and I got this spotlight at the top. So that's good. I got that part of it, but the rest of it isn't illuminated. And so this was just a basic spotlight. But the rest of the thing wasn't very well illuminated. So I brought out this area light, which is actually, I renamed it area. It's actually an infinite light. And I turned on physical sun and physical sky, and I have it with overcast sky. For those of you not using V-Ray, again, this probably just an infinite light in Cinema 4D. But this just gives me a really basic background lighting to the thing so that you can see everything. And so next, we go back to here, and we see that at the top there's this orange lighting, and at the bottom there's this blue lighting. So I added some orange. Another spotlight. So I have more control over where it goes, essentially. And so there I've got that nice orange that I wanted. And so I added the blue. Another spotlight, positioned the way I want it. And so there we have the orange and the blue. So we're getting there. And I don't know what the hell I did with this. Oh, this is the one that just a little bit more back. It just gives me a little bit more illumination on the back. It's another spotlight. Big, wide area spotlight that is very low intensity. And that just brightened everything a little bit because I decided the area light wasn't quite enough. So, again, we go back. Damn it, I closed it. Fuck. We go back to our reference image. If I was smart, I would just have this up in the picture viewer in Cinema 4D, but oh well. And so you see that the front of the skull is much more illuminated than it is here. So, put another one on, another spotlight, and that gives us that sort of top-down lighting that we see, or we saw before I closed it, because I automatically close everything because I'm a bastard. So that gives it that look, and we're pretty much, I mean, we could stop here. However, if we go back to our reference image, and I'm going to go back to the big doink one that I had because it's higher res, you can see we have these nice highlights showing up, and I'm not going to replicate them exactly because I suck too much, but I'm going to try. So, let's see. Oh, and this was another one to illuminate the bottom of his mouth more. Just a little bit there, as you can see. Give it a little more illumination on his mouthpiece. So the left highlights, another spotlight, and it's going to give us highlights right here, as you can see. Now do another one. Where does this go? Gives me some highlights down here. Add another one. Gives me highlights over here. Add another one. Gives me these highlights. Another one. Gives me these highlights. Finally, I have one right at the top. It gives me highlights here and here. And so that's basically it. That was here, let me render it. That's my setup. That's how I did this. And I know you guys are probably looking for more, you know, or maybe I don't know, but when I see tutorials like this, and if it's some of you who are watching this might be beginners, and I usually like to have someone go step by step for me, and I'm sorry, I apologize that I couldn't do that, but especially with V-Ray and lighting in general, I mean, there isn't any step by step way to do it, unless I literally copy and pasted these lights. I went and I've done two trials of this tutorial before, and every single time it just took like half an hour to get the tutorial, and I still was not getting a good result. So basically what I have to tell you guys is just to experiment. You know, experiment, learn the lights, learn what they do, and just, you know, have that reference image up and keep looking back and checking and just keep working with it. And that's basically what you have to do. That's the best thing that you can do to learn lighting. You know, there's a few basic principles, like have a light that illuminates the back, illuminates the whole thing and stuff like that. And if you want to study lighting, there's so much to learn. I'm by no means an expert or even good at lighting, and there's just so much to learn with like color theory and light theory and stuff like that. So yeah, just experiment. And I hope I actually was helpful and not just rambling throughout this whole tutorial, and I'm gonna call it quits. So I hope you guys enjoyed. The skull download, shit, I didn't tell you guys how to use the skull. Um, the skull download is in the description of the previous video, and if you need to use that, which you just go to merge and then select the skull file I gave you, and then it'll bring it out and then you position it and everything. So I'll put a thing in the description telling you guys that I didn't mention how to use the skull until 15 minutes in. So hopefully you guys figured it out, and I hope this was helpful. So yeah, like, comment, blah blah blah, all that shit. See you guys.